Hello and welcome. Welcome, race fans, to the second episode of the Era Pitcast. I'm your host, C.Fengler, and once again I'm joined by the voice of strategy himself, Mr. Wall. And tonight we're here to talk down all the action, drama and surprises that made or make sim racing in Era so intense. This is where passion meets precision, and you get an insider look into all things Era.
Yeah, that's right. So this time we're going over the first two rounds that we've had of season 13. Episode 1 was the season preview, so we were looking into it. We've had a couple of rounds now. The season's starting to take shape, so we'll break down some of the key moments or the performances of the drivers. We'll go through the standings, what that tells us, what we're going to be looking for, and then preview the next sort of couple of races that we're going up for as well, which are Mount Panorama and Suzuka, so two absolutely sort of legendary circuits. What makes those challenging and what the drivers are going to need to watch out for, prepare for, if they want to stay in the competition.
To name a few, strategy, skill and probably a bit of luck will come into play as the season unfolds, so strap in and get ready because we're about to go full throttle on the Era Pitcast. Shall we get started, huh? First off, obviously, we won't be by ourselves because we're just representing Server 1 mainly. We will have some guests with us, namely D.Hoeck and S.Jardine that will join in later. But yeah, Chris, before anything, I think you got yourself some little treat. So, towards the Pitcast and anyone watching, cheers.
Yeah, it's only a cup of tea this time, not a full bottle of rum like last time. It's not going to get wild this time, and it's definitely not going to last for 2 hours and end up with me chatting absolute shit towards the end of it. So.
Well, yeah. First race of the season, Zolder. It was, I would say, absolutely insane start. Like, I was a bit afraid, honestly, that we would just jump over server capacity. Obviously, the track can only handle so many drivers. We're talking 50, and I think both servers are on active attendance, around 45 drivers. Chris, what was your impression?
Oh, God. We had the fear before it started, and I think I said it in the Pitcast that I don't think you could have drawn a more sort of chaotic opening track than Zolder. Maybe like a Brands Hatch would have been equivalent, but Zolder, it's so tight, so twisty. And with the sign-ups that we had as well, so we had over 50 sort of people signed up. Luckily, they didn't all turn up on the day, but it basically meant that it was frantic. Like it was close action all the way through it. There was bound to be some chaos as well. It was really sort of, as far as an opener goes, eye-opening for me, especially as well, since there's a bit of blue-on-blue violence that took place quite early on in the race.
I remember the LNR boys.
Oh my lord!
Oh man, that was like, if you're server 2, this probably needs a bit of explaining. So we've got one of these teams that is strongly attending E-Race since a long time now is LNR, and we have watched live murder on TV basically. With internal team fights that just went to scrambles pretty quickly. But still, I want to say, with everything going on, it was not necessarily little, but this was to be expected just simply because of the amount of drivers. At the same time, it was surprisingly calm as soon as this initial phase of the first few laps was sorted. So, that recaps Zolder.
It was just hard to overtake, though. That was the problem with Zolder. Like, any overtake came and you could say this for any overtake, but Zolder particularly, because you've not really got any long straights that lead into a braking zone. It's hard to manufacture that move. It has to be done sort of in a corner, so to speak, and it's quite hard to do that in Zolder.
True, and obviously we do have him in chat already, and there's Dennis. Dennis, what was the experience like on server 2? Because server 1 was altogether quite acceptable, quite especially on the amount of people driving.
Zolder was definitely an interesting experience. It pretty much showed what I was expecting to happen, especially from the perspective of bronze, because we have a lot of guys that are quite similar pace, and there were quite a few fights going on. But actually, it also turned out quite a clean race, which I personally wasn't expecting. I actually said in the first Pitcast that I was expecting a turn 1, lap 1 pile up. That actually didn't happen.
Chris, you were a bit deeper into the reviews of the incidents. What would you say was the neuralgic corner where most stuff went down?
Server 1, it was turn 3 was quite famous. The first chicane's always going to be an issue, but the second chicane was the major problem. Because, and I think I even said it in the first Pitcast, that's where a lot of the carnage would be. And it was. A lot of it was down there. So, I mean, it was quite spread out. Server 1 was very much like when cars could go side by side and it'd end in disaster, that's when it had happened. Server 2 was a little bit more, they were less predictable in where their war crimes would take place, but they still took place. It was a record week for the Stewarding team, to the point where you may remember, to those watching, we actually broke our in-house ticketing system.
Oh shit! Yeah,
we
that
broke it.
That was a moment when I was approached like, yeah, we need a solution because we can't take any more tickets. The system's done for. We have more than 50 open tickets for one race.
We didn't know it had a limit until Zolder, and then we found out. So yeah, we had that. Then we had manual reports, and don't forget that's all on the top of all the lap 1 stuff as well. So it was a record. We sort of expected it. We have a lot of new drivers in server 2 especially, so that always brings with it an element of we don't know who you're racing. And then in server 1, I'm going to say this in the nicest way possible, but it's a bit sway, and it's a lot more aggressive. I think you'll agree, Fengler, that people will go for the more artistic version of an overtake in server 1, whereas in server 2 they do tend to have a little bit more patience. If anything, it's just innocent clumsiness in server 2, whereas in server 1 it's all out warfare. I think you'll agree.
Yeah, but nevertheless I have to say, biggest surprise for me that I took away from the races was Limburg's straight away making his debut in the Lamborghini on P1, just like he called out in the hot takes. I was like, man, just one too many absolutely exact predictions.
Yeah, I said it as well, and like as soon as that race finished, I got tagged about 6 times saying, "You said it in the Pitcast that he'd do it." I didn't think he'd do it first race. And I don't think he's done. I don't think he's done at all. Like, if he hadn't have had such bad luck at Nürburgring, he was up there as well. And now he's not. I don't think he's going to get a penalty for Bathurst.
But
give me just a second. Yeah.
Before we go on with server 1 and even Nerbs, Dennis, what was your surprise moment really with Zolder? Like, what was the most positive takeaway from the race?
We've got Salmon here now, by the way.
From a personal perspective or overall?
Both, if you wish.
From a personal perspective, me nearly getting pole in bronze then, until Briggs decided to take that away from me, but he's silver, thank God he's gone. And secondly, like race overall, I that's a good one. I mean, I would say fights. There were quite some fights. Sure, some dirty, some clean. But at least when I was driving around trying to keep up the pace, I saw some clean fighting going on. That's I would say is a big highlight because we that's something we wish for, obviously.
Yeah, and it's something that you quite happily take away, especially from race one of a season when you have a lot of new drivers and you don't quite know where reliable people are driving in what car or not, and who you can battle and who you just have to like provide not as much space perhaps, or not leave the door as wide open because they might go for an over optimistic dive. So yeah, that's probably a really positive takeaway. And as Chris announced, we finally have the second guest in here, and that is S.Jardine. Samuel, welcome on the Pitcast.
Thank you for having me, Christian. How are you doing?
Well, pretty good, I would say. I hope you're doing fine. And jumping straight onto it, what was your personal Zolder impression? What was the negative and what was the positive takeaway from that race?
There was no positive takeaway. It was a complete shit show. I spent most of it dead due to a lack of talent and rapid onset of talent.
One straight after another. It's like, I forgot to jump all over.
Then perhaps let's rephrase it to a degree and say, okay, who was the biggest surprise for you looking at the driver field?
Myself, because of how useless I was. I mean, it's my first ERA race.
It's not the answer we hoped for.
No, but it's the answer you're getting. It was my first ERA race outside of the Lexus in a very, very long time, and it went. It went.
Not so well. let's cap it at this. Would you say just because you're talking to somebody who has the comfort of staying in the main car, would you say that it was a case of just lacking trust into the car that you've picked, whereas you normally wouldn't even think about it?
Yeah, we'll go with trust. It's more the difference between the Lexus and the Honda. I can't think of anything more different.
Yeah.
Ours a completely different mindset and a completely different driving style.
But then coming out of Zolder, and especially being in the Honda, let's switch over the second race, wet Nürburgring. How did it feel in the Honda? Because from what I have seen, it was much grippier than most cars. Like, it really had a lot of potential. How did that race go for you?
The car was definitely a lot better for me there. The Lexus is very much not the same rain machine that it used to be, which is quite depressing. But no, the Honda was good. Some people with infinitely more talent and practice in the car did some pretty impressive things. Once I kind of got my head down, the lap time started coming down as well, but a couple of errors and lapses in judgment on my part ended up in the trademarked Fengler adventures.
You've not had the best opening, have you, really?
No, not especially. And it's only going to get worse, because, yeah.
Well, if you think about it like that.
But Chris,
I've resigned myself to being on my roof.
But Chris, jumping on this, you had a very, very positive Nürburgring experience in Server 1.
I did, and it was lucky. So I'll say this straight, and you know what? I'm going to take it. I'll take it because you get bad luck in racing and you get good luck in racing. So you have to ride that sometimes. So it's Zolder. I actually really like the track. Get biffed off very early in the race and have to fight back from like 41st back to something like 19th overall. But Nürburgring didn't have a great qualifying. Couldn't really get the Mercedes to work how I wanted it to work, and then it so turned out that Scub got involved in a bit of an incident. Spitzer got involved in some sort of an incident, and pretty much all my championship rivals got involved in incidents. And then it was up to just me and Malmy sort of battling it out for the lead. And we had a really good sort of fight for about half the race. If you go and watch my stream back, it's literally just me and Malmy battling for most of it. And me making race car noises as well when I got bored like 10 minutes from the end of the race. Apparently. I didn't even know I did that, but Lewis told me I did.
It was
really good. I enjoyed it a lot.
But yeah, the crash or the incident that happened with Lois Scott was probably, at least in Platinum, something that absolutely shook the order up, because he was probably coming into the weekend as the absolute favorite. I mean, we had a pretty good look out onto this the day prior on the 4 hours of Nürburgring, where the Honda already was quite overperforming. And now add to that Flo Scapa is certainly a very talented driver. He was pretty certainly capable of racking a lot of lap time in. But when push came to shove and you push down the order, Nürburgring is a track you can really fight over, just not everywhere. But at the wet line in, where you just have the problem that if you have to go offline for an overtake, you are longing you just like adding extra meters to your braking zone, makes it 100% harder. So the way forward was just not there for him, mixing the order up, but still the Honda was very performing. Look, I just gave it a short look, and the quickest time set on the server was 1:59.8. 777, I think it was a 7, which is 1.1 seconds a lap quicker than the next car that finished.
Yeah.
On the fastest lap. I mean, that is just the fastest lap in the end, but it's quite show and tell.
And Chris was doing 59s in a row as well. I think my crew chief was telling me that he kept doing 59s, and I kept getting annoyed at him. It was going so quick. Yeah, the Honda, I think that, when me and Darius did the comms for the 4 hour, I'm sure we'll come back to it. The Hondas were just turning for late. Like, it's just so much great. And that's not making excuses. Like, again, you've got to drive the damn thing, and extract the pace from it. But they were definitely in a sort of different time zone. And Flo as well is just a bloody good driver.
Yeah.
So if he hadn't have had that little incident, yeah, he would have been up there. And he didn't. I don't think he had a success penalty either, or did he? Not sure.
He did have one. Didn't help him.
Did. Yeah. But yeah. So he finished 12 points. So yeah, he would have finished high up.
And Dennis, what was your wet experience at the infamous Nürburgring GP track?
Now, I've got a very important question to ask. Are we talking about the endurance or the normal race? Because if we're talking about the endurance, I will not comment on it.
No, we're talking obviously the 1 hour race on the Sunday Championship, because this is the era.
Right.
I mean, we can still baffle on a little bit about the endurance, but let's pick it to 7-2 Sunday for now.
Yeah,
no,
that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, doesn't exist.
Yep, that sounds like a plan to me. Well, speaking of endurance, the Sunday race went much better than the endurance that I attended. Only thing for me is that I pocketed in the like last 4 minutes of the race, but went off track and lost P2 in bronze, dropped down to P3 instead. But other than that, I survived lap 1, which was chaotic. Lots of incidents, lots of penalties, and as you guys were talking, the Honda was also extremely fast in server 2 as well. I think Adrian, especially like the person who's driving the Honda is Adrian. I don't know if there's anyone else driving it. He took pole for bronze and by quite a large margin as well. I mean, downsides from the race, yeah, wet, very wet.
But you said something very important there. I think Sunday was simply more manageable than the endurance race because
Absolutely.
the conditions came out as a proper, not like not flood race. It was proper rain. You had a purpose on putting rain tires on. Whereas the 4-hour race on Saturday was more for jumping the line back and forth between if wet or slick would be the right choice. Like it was just on the brink, but mainly you had to go with slicks in the start and then later on switch to wets because the rain was ever so slightly increasing. It was it was a different story, and it was for an amateur men's endurance event, not so amateur when it came to managing tires. Like it was a proper task, especially if you stuck to the 75 minute stint, and you had to like carry one either absolutely overheated pair of wet tires to the finish, or perhaps an absolutely undercooled set of slick tires. So yeah, I can understand that this was perhaps not the most fun experience.
That moved a lot of people's races, though, didn't it? In the 4 hours, like, your car was a victim of it.
Mm-hmm.
The early days, like, you just went backwards, and then you got drivers like Correa who just flew through the field, who obviously got it right, and like he was flying in that opening stint. And then from that first stint, it just became a question of strategy then. So who was going to be able to stretch out their fuel enough and all that stuff. It was spicy. It's got really good. I enjoyed commentating it with Darius. Actually, hopefully we can get to do that again. And hopefully people enjoyed it as well. Like, let me know if it was crap, so we can fix it.
Well, I think you know what I will say about the endurance, but I will not comment. I managed to pick up my engine. Don't worry about that. I do not leave debris on the track.
Yeah, you detonated it, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. In the last minute.
You weren't the only one. A few people detonated it.
But mate, come on! In the last minute, like, add salt to the wound.
Yeah, I mean, I was having the experience with you when you came by, and the whole thing was just. I think you struggled so much to really keep it on track on Saturday, but it's a nice thing that you could, I think, still take something away towards Sunday, and then once again you moved it towards a podium finish for the second time in a row, which is testimony to that. You just you know what you're doing at this point.
I would hope I do. Yes. As you said, like Saturday was definitely like an eye opener, and Sunday just worked out much more better. But yeah, like my main objective was just to stay on the track, stay consistent, and don't bottle it like I bottled the endurance, and I managed to do that this time.
Well, is there anything else to say about Nürburgring? Well, yeah, there is one that applies to both tracks, Chris.
One.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the most insane experience is qualifying free for all 45 cars. Zolder a bit more even than Nürburgring, but still, it's like
Nürburgring was all right. We were fine, but this is the thing. I think the point you're about to make is that we've done it. We got all like the shit qualifying out of the way in Zolder, so we sort of learned how to do it. A crash course in how not to qualify. Yeah, it was spicy. So, if you've not watched the stream from the fantastic Mr. Stephen Koenig, go and check it out. Basically, qualifying was to the point where we had that many cars on track. There were cars waiting to start flying laps, and they were still waiting to start by the time the other guys had gone all the way around on fast laps and were coming around to actually finish fast laps. And have you ever been on the M25 at like 5 o'clock on Friday afternoon? It was just like that. There was cars everywhere, and we had some incidents. let's just say. But Nürburgring was fine. I didn't have an issue. In fact, I didn't have an issue as Aldo. I was following you around.
Yeah, quite closely. So it was a lucky incident. I think we both were pretty similar on pace, and had the absolute luxury that to the front someone dropped off pretty early on, so the gap was easy to manage, and we stayed comfortably within the 2-second gap. Didn't really run into much issues, but still, it was the first time ever that you really got under this typical qualifying feeling that you talk about so often with Formula One and other, like formats that are thriving out there in the world, where you really consider like, okay, I'm gonna do a spacing now, I'm gonna cool the tires, like just prolonging the peak of the tires a little bit because I'm too close, it doesn't make sense, I need to, like keep it all in flow, because if you looked on the track map, that was insane. The amount of dots moving there was just out of this world.
Yeah, well, and there was a line of yellow in the first sector. It was like, we're coming up to it, me and you, and I'm looking at it going, yeah, this is it. We're going to queue. We're going to end up with a queue in here. So,
but luckily...
Nürburgring we were all right. It's just... And what I liked as well is that we sort of... Because we're getting to know each other now, I know if I'm behind certain drivers that I'm not going to catch them. Or the gap will stay the same, and like other drivers will recognise, like they might see Christoph behind them and go, he's going to catch me, I'll just let him go, sort of thing. So in that opening lap, a lot of people are sorting out where they should be, and then by the time we get going, touch wood, it's sorted out largely.
By the way,
just
catching on to earlier on, Korea just wrote that he certainly enjoyed the endurance. Yeah, I do agree 100%. And he's looking forward to the next one. So if you don't know and you haven't realized yet, probably time to make a post again, by the way, we are going for a 4-hour of Watkins Glen with a sun-up race. So going to start in the dark, and the track will get shiny bright during the stint times. And we're going to do so, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like mid-February. I think it's the 15th. Yeah, 15th. Yep. 15th of February, if you're still not too sure what you do on that very particular Saturday evening, be our guest and have a nice race. You can race solo, you can race in a team, GT3s only, and then let's have a good time.
Yeah, so if the missus is pissed off at you,
yeah.
After the Saturday night, then it's I've got to do this race. So it's strategic. Like it's strategic for that. We've done that on purpose.
Yeah. On to the next topic, I would say, which is the provisional standing side, and I would say let's talk some points. Disclaimer. We're going to go over the drop round points because this is the most accurate representation we have at the moment. With 2 races, that was a bit funny, but it gives you a nice outlook, and perhaps a few of your drivers haven't really had a look on it yet, and we'll stay a little bit more motivated because there are more people in the fight. Like we did a brief glance over it, and more people are in the fight for overall leads than you would guess in both servers. But Chris, how about you start us off with Diamond?
Yeah, sure. So, predictably, heading up the Diamond division is Peterson. Obviously didn't win at Zolder, but did take the win at Nürburgring, so he tops the tables. However, in P2 is Limburg's. So I'll give you the points. It's the N1 in brackets, isn't it, that we give?
No, it's the without brackets. So drop round subtracted.
Cool. So Christoph 20 points in total. Limburg's is on 18 at the moment. Darius P3 in Diamond in the Nissan. 16 points for him, but he's tied with Christian, who's got on 16 points as well. Christian Grosch didn't race Nürburgring, despite being German. Work that one out.
Well, sometimes life gets in the way. It's going to be interesting because this might flip quite quickly. Limburg's
It
not
will,
having a success penalty after Nürburgring. I'm not too sure. I think he didn't.
No,
finish.
he goes into Bathurst because he only got 1 point at Nürburgring, so technically that's his drop round already. Really, he can't afford another bad result like that. So he will go into Mount Panorama with no success penalty, whereas Christoph will have the full 15 seconds. So yeah, tough for Christoph to come out of that with another win, but by God, he'll try. Then we've got the new guy, Ryan Gel. He's on 14 points. So again, he didn't have the best Nürburgring, but had a really good Zolder in the Porsche. David Schutten, 14 points as well in P6. Then we've got Skitty, who had the worst Zolder you could ever have after the mother of all rejoined. 12 points for Skitty. Nilsson, another one of the new drivers, on 10 points. Then it's Castro on 10, Jude Neville on 8, Camille Hassan on 6, Glenn Smith on 6, and then Mahayev Musa, who was second overall last season, is in 13th at the moment after only 2 points all season. That's 2 points is all he's got. So he's had the worst opener here. So I think he had a disconnect at Nürburgring.
Oh, that
which
sucks.
is one of the reasons for that. He was running quite well. Then we've got Sorodio, 14th again, another South African chap. So he's had the same disconnect issue that Moose has got. Milano James, not the best start to his season. He was one of my standouts from season 12, and he's got off to an absolute. He's got a really slow start from Milano James, really. We know he's fast. He is quick, but he's had some really bad luck.
He can absolutely fight for the win, but at the same time, he had 2 bad races when it came to incidents, self-inflicted as much as foreign-inflicted, and he's driving on my team, so I quite know.
You're not biased, no.
No, not at all. No.
No, he's quick. He's quick. Like we know he is. So the results will come. They're just not coming yet.
His biggest issue to really be up there with the likes of Darius and so on is to be a bit more consistent with his driving. I think, like, if he can manage out the bad luck, which sounds wicked perhaps for a newer driver, but that is a thing. Like, if you can keep your mental space quite, like, cool and collected, and just bring a bit more patience in, that can change a lot for you in terms of 100%. Race outcome. Right, Platinum.
So topping the tables in the Platinum division is another new driver, Ben Hicks. So Ben won Zolder, but I can't actually remember off the top of my head. I don't know what happened to him at Nürburgring, but some sort of calamity befall him, and he didn't. I think there was even a lap 1 incident. Like there was a lot of sliding going on because obviously lap 1 is not where you hold back. You can tell them 1,000 times, but still. Now it's hard to avoid that you go 3 wide up to the run to Mercedes Arena. And 3 wide just means that 2 people will not be on the dry line, and it is almost unavoidable that some contacts happen. And now add in the ACC physics, and people spin off left, right, and center. And I think it was part of one of those collisions where he was taken out. Yeah. Might be wrong, but it was. Well, I can have a look. I mean, I didn't. I did the stewarding for server 2, so we sort of flipped.
He just answered. He got destroyed on turn 1 by a Honda, so I imagine that was probably the incident with Flo Scup. Took them both out. Quite ironic, both are being the top runners of the split with the highest chances there. But that is sometimes how life goes. Next race will be better, 100% guaranteed. It might be a harder one, but nevertheless.
Yeah. Mount Doom, as you can see from the picture behind me, it's full of perils. So who knows what will happen. But yeah, Ben Hicks, really strong start to ERA, obviously picking up the Zolder win. Still got a few points from Nürburgring, so it's it's early days. All he needs to do is finish well, be pointsy, and he'll be fine. Then we've got the driver that I'm personally tipping for the platinum title. No offense, Ben, but I know Flo, so I'm betting on what I know. Flo Scub, Honda NSX, really quick guy. Again, he just needs to look to go his way a few times, I think, and then it'll be fine. Then there's me in third, so I'm tied with Flo for second, but third because he's got the fastest lap at podium or something. So we're both on 18 points. Then we've got Tarmo on 16 points in fourth. Martin Spitzer, 15 points as well. He was really unlucky at Nürburgring. He was leading platinum until an incident, and then that basically gifted me the win, essentially. So Spitzer, another one to watch on his day's diamond pace. To be fair, a lot of drivers in platinum could hang it in diamond.
It's always a question of how much time you can dedicate, really, and sometimes it's a question of track conditions and car match towards the track. This is something that impacts Martin quite heavily, and it is a funny thing to see if you look at his pace graph, like he showed me the other day. It looks like a ping pong match. Like he's basically jumping from diamond to gold. So in average, he stays platinum. But he is, I swear to God, he's the master of sandbagging. Like, the amount of times he has avoided promotion by a fraction by being on like 100.8 pace. And you're like, dude, on a good day, you outrun like 80% of diamond and still you are classified platinum. Like, obviously, even the license system has its flaws, and we try to work around it. In the end, if you look at the results and the fights that are happening, most of the time it is right. And here's an interesting one to top on this one. Give me your impression if Ben Hicks could potentially get to diamond with the completion of his 4-race license review.
He could, 100%. I don't know how the average pace will look for it. It all depends on. I think it'll be fine at Suzuka, but Mount Panorama depends where he gets stuck. He's quick enough.
Numbers.
He's quick enough, and this is the thing. So I was diamond last season. I think I finished 6th in diamond overall, and diamond's almost in 2. So you've got Christoph and Lindbergh's, and then you got everyone else. So I'm in that everyone else bit. Christoph and Lindbergh's will be like fighting for fucking spaceships, and everyone else is in like diamond point 2. I most of platinum can hang it in there without much of an issue. Ben Hicks, I don't know him that well. He's fast. Whether I haven't raced with him though, so I don't know about his racecraft. I don't know like how consistent he is. I don't know how prone to mistakes he is. I just know that on a qualifying session, the boy can drive. You know, he's put some fast time.
And this is what
all about how he drives in a race. And I don't know, and this isn't anything. I just don't know him.
This is quite prevalent if you look at the data that we have at the moment, which is incomplete to say at best. He provides a lot of top pace. Like his peaks are very, very high into diamond, but I think nerves might have impacted him. Like probably carried around damage for quite a while. But he's just rating-wise in the middle of platinum currently. Will be interesting to see what the next races will get in. So I think that's platinum wrap gold.
Got a few more to go through. So Simon Kossut, he's 6 at the minute. Your good self in 7th, tied with Lucas Kolob. Then you got Skirt, the upside down. This guy here. He's in P9. Eric Littell in 10th. Neil Greening, and then Aidan Russell, who I don't think's right a single point yet, but he's on the race one. Gold.
Gold.
So Korea.
Oh,
He's going to get moved. I swear he's going to get moved.
Korea has this problem. He's one of those problem drivers. Not. Don't get me wrong. Like not on racecraft, but last season he didn't have the time to train. He wasn't really in the car where he felt home too much. I think. Drove. The system was like, nah, move him down, and we were like, yeah, it does make sense. He was really just struggling at the back of the grid. Comes back, has time on his hands. He is an experienced driver in the end. And absolutely outperforms even the majority of Platinum. Like, insane stuff.
Yeah, he's quite. And I remember last season he was in Muller especially. I was Diamond and he was battling me in whatever split he was in now. He was in gold back then. And I remember saying in voice chat, I went, someone needs to do something about Korea because he's too quick for that split. But yeah, he's top, predictably. He's doing very well for himself, and fired up in the Enduro as well. Like, as I say, I think he gained like 17 positions or something daft like that in the opening stint at Nürburgring. So top tip. Depends on what happens if he gets moved or whatnot. Another new chap, fast making a name for himself in the world of VRA is Sebastian Lucassen.
Yep.
Forgive me if I butchered your name, I do that a lot. He sits second on 16 points. Then one of the most unlucky drivers from the 4-hour, Liam Smith, he's third. Nico Lorenz, another one that on his day is faster than goal pace. But he just has, he somehow just suffers from bad luck syndrome, Nico, sometimes. He's fourth. Our favourite shouty stewards, Lewis Knight, P5, didn't have a good Zolder, but did have a decent Nürburgring, so that sits him in 5th position in gold. He's fighting against Flynn Van Holland and Calgaro, who are tied for 6th with 12 points. David Young is 8th. Freddie Murley, again, another driver, that he's going to surprise everyone at Bathurst. He'll podium gold at least, Bathurst, and I reckon he'll actually get close to the top 10 overall. That's my prediction, Freddie Murley. So he's 9th. Hanso Foss in the Bentley is in 10th. And you've got Stuart Parsons, David Roth, who is continuing his run of bad luck in sim racing, but I'm sure he'll turn it around with a mustache like that. Who could deny him? Brzolski is 13th. Our favourite content creator, poster maker extraordinaire, all-round Yankee Doodle hunk, Damien Maroney is 14th with 1 point. Just stop going to bloody real-life racing and get in the sim rig, Damien. Come on, behave yourself. Nicholas Power, 15th. Wilfred Robson, 16th. All these guys have got no points at the minute. They're Foucault, Belez, and Gamble. So there's 5 drivers.
Para is, let's just call him this. I don't know. Like we're butchering it either way.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. It's once again one of those cases with a lot of bad luck because the pace he has shown in quality was higher than his results, but he has usually been in the midst of incidents to any degree and usually in a amount that he just can't recover from. Like
I can tell you what his problem is, and it's because it's something that a lot of people suffer from. He's too nice.
Which is, I usually mean it nicely. I usually see that as a good thing, but I know what you mean. If you try to leave enough space for everyone, you'll just lose out.
Yeah, and having raced against him a few times now, I don't know. I think he could have given people a harder time. Like,
true.
Don't make life easy on everyone. Be strategic. 100%. Like if it's gonna be a net positive for everyone to just not fight him and all that, yeah, 100% do that. But I think sometimes he just has a bit, he just doesn't. He doesn't want to get in a crash that badly. He'll avoid sort of the battle. So if he just develops that a little bit, then he'll. Because yeah, you're right. His pace is there. Like in a race when he's just lapping, or in qualifying when he's going for that hot lap, he's quick.
All right.
But my tip for gold is Freddie Merley will start to climb that table.
We'll see. I think he has hard competition,
He does.
and if Korea stays in Korea, and I'll have to say, Nico Lawrence, I have to give it up to him, because if he can recover from the bad luck, he is one furious contender for the championship. Right, let's give some love to Server 2, shall we? And try to move on a bit quicker, because we try to keep this tonight within the 1 hour reach, as it's a work day. Yeah, so just gonna give you a very quick overview about what has been going on. Let's start off at the bottom this time. Why not, shall we? Iron is currently led by one of the let's call it established drivers of Iron, which is Brandon Harvey, currently on 20 points, directly followed by Matthias Wiedemann, 18 points, and then it gets tight, super tight. Tomasz with 17 points, Andreas Hansen with 16 points, Sin Young 14 points, Tobias Wagner 12 points, and it continues on. So I would say that for the top 8 people, you still have everything still in the mix. So in Iron, it's anyone's take at the moment on who might actually carry the championship home. Plus, you might see a bunch of people being moved out of Iron if they improve throughout the season. It's just one of those natural things. Then Bronze. The most talked about.
I know who you're looking at. I've not even got the finger up. I know who you're looking at.
The most. It's the most talked about driver by far. And you would not give it to him, but he has done 2 outstanding races, which leads to him leading the table there, because he has won both races, not with fastest lap or anything, but he has won both races. We're talking about professional hater. And he has taken P1 in Zolder and Nürburgring, and therefore is leading currently with 18 points, straight ahead of D.Hoeck. Dennis, 17 points. So fastest lap and a second place on Zolder. So there is a lot of battle in there. Then you've got Alan Herrera, who has pole and second place on Nürburgring with 70 points. Then you have Jeffrey Becker with 14 points, Robert Wall 12 points, Adrian Mara 10 points. So once again, top 6 drivers are quite well in for the fight for the overall championship at the moment. And last but not least, we have Silver. And don't get me wrong, I know we could go over a lot more drivers. We have around 20 participants per split, but the night only has that many hours. Top name that comes to mind when speaking of Silver just has been moved down. Give a guess.
I don't know. Who's in silver? Thomas. He's been moved down.
Yeah, he has been moved down, but he is quite far down the table. No.
Yeah, I know, because he keeps crashing. Who else? I'm struggling to think who we moved down from goal.
It's Richard Oates.
Of course it is. The Rust Bucket.
Yeah. Nürburgring catapulted him to the top of the standings. In Zolder, he just took away 6 points, but Nürburgring was the deciding thing. He took fastest lap, pole, and win for 20 points total. Then followed by John Spriggs with 2 very good results. 1 first place in Zolder and 1 second place in Nürburgring. Both without pole and fastest lap, which is very impressive, and who usually speaks of quite some consistency or good managing. I don't know. Person might be luck, but twice in a row. 18 points is straight on toe there. And then the next one is Miles. Miles is in the fight for the championship with 17 points. He has pole and second place on Zolder. And didn't participate in Nürburgring, so that will be probably his drop round. Or probably DNF, might be, I don't know. And then it goes on, like we are in the 2 digits down to P9, which is past milestone. Jack Biddle, Aaron Sherrigill, Kevin Shepard, Isaac Jordan, Adri Gottschalk, Cedric Muir. All these are, I would say, still in the fight for P1, and even after that, it's still anyone's guess how this table might look. Like they're still very, very close together all.
Well, we've got 2 of the Server 2 guys in the room, so what do they think of the championship protagonist this early on?
Yeah, Sam, shall we sort of review of what you have heard? I mean, you're driving bronze. How's the competition?
Competition is definitely out there, but please get Hader out of bronze, because otherwise the championship is already going to him. Because the pace that man is showing is nuts. He's really fast. Yeah, that's all I can really say. Like, otherwise I'm having great battles with other people, but Hader is just out of this planet right now.
It's always a difficult line to tread, really, because moving a driver would usually require the season to be over, and Hater is an established driver, so with him training more, you usually don't punish those people because they're going to get moved at the end of the season. But I do understand your view of it. It's going to be a talking topic, but I wouldn't get my hopes up too high that you will get rid of him.
Okay, we just give the trophy to him like right now, like today, this very minute, because I don't see myself catching up.
It takes just one streak of bad luck, and it can crush your ego, it can crush your driving standards, or not your driving standards, but like your mindset, and then on from there it's better. So trust me, you're talking to a driver that has experienced that a couple of times. Thinking back to the last seasons, last season was one of those examples. I was high on top for the first 3 races, and then things just went horribly south. And out of nothing, thin air, it felt like Flo Scott was emerging, battling me, overtaking me, taking the points away, and then taking the lead together with damn, missing the name. Sandbaggins.
We're shooting, wasn't it?
Shooting in front of him. So yeah, it's anyone's take. Like 2 races in is really not where the championship is decided. If we're talking 5 races down or 4 races down, you can perhaps give a more precise prediction. But I wouldn't bury my hat in the sand yet.
And what I would say, Dennis, and I've been in that place. Mindset is so fucking powerful. If you sit there race week and convince yourself 2 races into a season that you're out of the shout already, you will talk yourself into bad results. So I'm not saying it's like that old thing when someone says, "Oh, I've got anxiety, like the world's going to end," and someone just goes, "Don't worry about it," and then suddenly, "Oh yeah, I didn't think of that. I just won't." It's easier said than done, but I don't know. I would just try and be a little bit less hard on yourself, just to try and manifest a little bit more positivity. You don't necessarily have to go into it going, "I'm the best driver ever," but I'm just going to get something out of this race, and just try and attack it with a bit more positivity rather than convincing yourself you've lost it. And like I said, I'm willing to spend some time with you on Mount Doom, and we'll get some tips in there.
We're going to do tomorrow.
We're going to do tomorrow when you fixed your wheel, and then we'll bury that London terrorist forever.
He's in the chat as well, poor guy.
I know he is. That's why I'm saying it. But yeah, there's a lot of races to come. Like Christian sort of very accurately pointed out, the season could just change like that. And all you've got to do is be in the right place to take advantage of it when it happens. So
yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Keep that going.
a voice I still want
Will
to
do.
hear. A voice I still want to hear is Samuel. You had not even in the slightest the start of the season that you probably intended to have. What is your current outlook? What is your mindset, your goal at the moment within your own split?
Just to use this as a learning season to get to grips with how the car So getting to grips with how the car drives is one thing, but how it drives in relation to everyone else, so I can actually start racing properly. But yeah, it's essentially just a learning season. There's no keep out of trouble. There's no chance of me walking away with the lead anyway. Richard Oakes is there, so.
It's basically really just this: take it race by race and just treat them as individual events, not as the season.
Precisely. Dare I say the cursed phrase of "I'm just here to have fun" at this point.
Don't forget as well, you've had the mother of all car changes. You've been somewhat of a Lexus slut for so long. To then be told, oh, you can't have that now, and then you go and pick what can only be described as the most polar opposite car in the Honda, which is a quick car, but it's one that will kill you. You have absolutely no quarter for error in that, and it's the Lexus has a lot of margin for error. I imagine, like I didn't drive it a lot, but other than having terrible brakes, it was a really solid car. How are you finding that transition, and would you say that transition to a completely different sort of theory of car is affecting you this season?
It's a bit of a slap in the face kind of change. Everything that's good about the Lexus is the bad on the Honda, and everything that's bad on the Lexus is good in the Honda. Like, the Honda has this magical ability that when you turn the steering wheel, the car turns, which the Lexus doesn't do.
Strange, that, isn't it? Rotation.
It's really weird having grip. But yeah, it would be too easy for me to blame all of my problems on not being familiar with the car. But it's half the car, half a lack of practice, half not necessarily being in the right frame of mind to actually challenge for anything. But I've had a couple of really enjoyable fights so far. A couple with Richard Oakes springs to mind. But no, we'll get there eventually. Unless Christian decides to ban the NSX from under me out of spite.
No, he'll just bop the hell out of it.
Yeah, I'll just make it not a viable pick anymore. All right, I think that's enough of looking back. Let's actually change the viewpoint and look ahead. We've got 2 tracks coming up because an information we haven't even passed out by now, Chris. We decided to continue on with this. People were not super vocal about it, but in the end, some people approached us, like a good number, and was like, yeah, but just continue. It was really enjoyable to listen to, and obviously we enjoyed our time here as well, so yeah, why not? We're gonna do this now bi-weekly, so within a season you will hear around 4 pitcasts, just catching up on what was and perhaps giving you some advice on what might be expected in the next races. But
if you want to join in as a guest, by the way, let us know. We're wanting to hear from everyone, all around the spectrum of ERA, except Hater. We don't want to ban from YouTube. Sorry.
All right.
Maybe we'll get you in as a guest. We'll just have to put you on a time delay so we can bleep you out.
All right. So to set the mood a little bit, looking forward to the tracks. The first one is this weekend, Mount Panorama, and we took some time out to collect some track trivia, just stuff to know when you drive around. Perhaps let your mind wander to one of those facts. I would just start us off with Mount Panorama, and Chris can then, give us the next one. So, Mount Panorama circuit, also better known as WA, I will butcher this, Walu. So
Walu, yeah, Walu.
Australian name. Is obviously a legendary track already. There is this famous status with Bathurst 1000, Bathurst 12 hours, and there's a Bathurst 24 hours, I believe. It's a 6.2 kilometer length track for those who are still dealing in retard units, no problem, 3.86 miles. Street circuit, so it's not a full-fledged racetrack per se. It is a public road for the access time when no events are happening. Like, there are legit houses on there that are their driveway towards the track. It holds Grade 3 FIA certification and is therefore allowing most of the domestic Australian race categories to make their appearance there. It was originally open, and that is something that really took me by surprise. Like, I was like, Bathurst, it can't be really that old, can it be? Huh? But no, it is a racetrack from way back, like 1938. Like, that is pre-World War II. And was first a motorcycle race, and then followed on by the Australian Grand Prix. And I think the foundation laying for the road itself was meant to be something like a technical test site for cars generally produced in Australia. It is home to a bunch of very iconic corners, not only corners, also straights. Like, just to name a few, you've got the Cutting, you've got Skyline, Dipper, the Conrod Straight, where it's probably one of the longest that is in conjunction only with like the back straight on Porrica. Yeah, wanted to say. The only one that I haven't named yet, which is horrible in many ways, is probably Elbow, like Forest Elbow, or better known as Bentley Corner to some. Yeah, it is home to a lot of spectacular crashes, and probably will be also on this weekend. Be prepared. The walls are tight, the cars are even more packed. And it feels like a mixture of Nürburgring, Rod, Atlanta, and Macau, because it is an insane elevation change. Like, we've got 174 meter difference from the lowest to the highest point. Wow, these are serious numbers. You would be
Literally called the mountain. Yeah.
You would be absolutely out of breath if you were to walk up the hill. And combine that with lots of undulation, tight corners where the walls are so close that there is no room for error whatsoever. You have to 100% be in control when you drive through the mountain section. And just because you're out of the mountain section doesn't mean shit either. Like, there's enough possibilities to straight away along the straight. God knows, we've seen a bunch of those. So yeah, Chris.
Yeah.
On from your...
my favourite track, Mount Panorama, by the way. I love it. Go on, sorry.
What is your personal tip towards the audience when it comes to Mount Panorama? What is the one thing that you say makes the difference?
Don't drive at 100%. Literally dial it back. So one of the first mistakes I ever made at Mount Panorama was doing a lap and then going, I can go quicker than that. And then that's then setting my reference for the race. So I'm trying to match my fastest time every lap. You can't do that. You will die. It will hurt. Depending on how many Newton meters your wheelbase pushes. But I've got to the point now where I'll do 6-hour enduros there, but I'm driving at like 90% pace.
100% agree. And for the race, I would even say go a step further. Not only don't drive at 100%, but the moment you feel in control over the mountain. It's not in control, that's the wrong wording. The moment you lose your tension going through the mountain and you feel like it's more relaxing is the moment you've already misstepped it.
Yeah.
It's
As Fingy once said, you've got to be alert on a street circuit. Wise words.
true.
Julian Palmer.
What
the
is-
smartest man in motorsport.
What is to you the most important corner of the track that people need to train and get right?
Well, the most important is Forest Elbow.
100% agree.
Because not only is it's one of technically that it's very technical corner because you come down and your brakes just go and so you've almost got to do this on-off braking technique, which is counterintuitive because you're coming off the brakes where you're doing about 100 mile an hour heading to a wall. But it sets you up for the conrod. So if you get a good exit from there, it's worth speed all the way up straight. So yeah, that's the one you need to sweat this week in practice.
The second one I would say, because there's not anything to add, I 100% agree with you. So to anyone not knowing what a corner is, when you come out of the mountain, the last tight turn, which is 90 degrees or over 90 degrees, going into the back straight, that is Forest Elbow, and that's very, very important for obvious reasons. The other one is turn 1, because after turn 1 or into turn 1 is one of those main overtaking possibilities. You need to have that nailed every lap if you want to avoid getting overtaken, or vice versa if you want to overtake, because there's literally no getting by on the mountain. It's just an absolute no-no. If not, the driver in front of you does a proper mistake and either hits the wall or the grass on the top section. Other than that, you're not getting by. So you have those two straights and you should be on top of your pace in both of them.
Yeah, and it's hard to get it just right with the amount of curb you can take, and it's very easy to take too much curb and loop it to just in front of the pit exit as well. So yeah, I don't disagree that it is important. I haven't prepared many Suzuka facts in all fairness because
Well, I did for you, so if you glance into the script, you'll find a nice bunch there.
oh right, okay, give me 2 seconds then, and let me go back into
No worries. I've got you.
Oh, well, I didn't scroll down. I didn't scroll down at all. I saw the Mount Panorama one. I thought, oh, shit, should I have done something here? Then it's there. Cool.
But
Cool.
one last advice for those who may perhaps approach Mount Panorama for the first time. It is normal and it is absolutely perfectly fine to be afraid racing there. Like, we all have been there. Afraid is perhaps the wrong word. It's more of a stress case. You are very, very tense driving there, and it's not easy. It's not the most nice experience in the beginning, but I can tell you one thing: if you manage to carry it through, stay out of trouble, be super cautious when you come on the yellow flags in Sector 2, so going through the mountain, and keep it clean, you will have the biggest relief even from a P8 or any other finish. Just making it through is such a relief and such a great feeling. Having a unscrewed race there is really a reward in itself. So be careful, be double careful, and always keep in mind it is a traffic jam simulation if more than one car crashes on a hill.
Yeah, and don't do a skirt. So that's me.
All right.
If I may, on Panorama as well, we've seen in the previous seasons, it's never the fastest person on track that wins Mount Panorama. It's the one that doesn't die.
And there are one of the factors that can relate to this. It can be that you just clip the wall, and because you clipped in an unfortunate angle, you destroy your front downforce. Best would be, or worst would be, if you destroy it on your right hand side on the front, and then you're lacking the downforce to make it properly through there, through the top section. Just stuff like that can decide the race, because you might not be able to go the pace or get the proper exit. Other people might push out and just bounce back onto track into you. You come off the brakes too early. It's hard, really, but it's also rewarding. Like making it through is achievement. Right.
Yeah, you know you've done an hour
Yeah.
when you've done an hour of that first.
100%. All right. Suzuka will follow up straight away in the next week. Chris, take us through.
Suzuka then. So we all know Suzuka. Well, I'm guessing we all watch Formula One, so we all know Suzuka there. That is about 3.6 miles long. To you Freedom units out there, that's about 5.8 kilometers. Obviously in Japan, but it was actually commissioned, I think is the word, by Honda. So they basically made it as a test track originally, and then grew it to be what it is now. Holds about 150,000 spectators, which actually is quite small compared to a lot of F1 tracks. Used to be a lot more, but they used to have that massive grandstand at the back, if you remember, but they banned it because it was shaky. So that's gone downhill. It's the only Formula One track that has a figure 8 layout, so where the track loops over itself. The only one that does that after Fiorano was sort of downgraded from that grading as well. It's gone through 8 iterations in its time. A lot of these historic F1 tracks have had similar sort of things happen to them, so they've been upgraded and changed over time. You'll remember there's been a few crashes there, so obviously Jules Bianchi, Tajiro Kato, been a few drivers that have come up with that, and that's resulted in changes to the track. 130R, aka the Teddy Bollander corner. There will definitely be a Darius track map with a Teddy Bollander reference on it. I can predict it already, and he's not even made it yet. That got redesigned. The Casio Triangle got redesigned. The lock curve, all that was expanded to meet ever-growing FIA requirements for like 8 acres of runoff space. It's just one of those tracks. I think that if you love it, you love it. You get the flow, and you can almost drive it on autopilot after a while, because it's the first section it's so smooth, then the second section's a bit sweaty, then the third section just speed and power. Again, a favourite track of mine. I do like it. It's just one of those where I never have good results.
Oh, I feel that.
Famous in ERA for one of the most traumatic pit entrances you'll ever see. How many drivers, Christy, have smashed the hell out of that pit entry?
Yeah.
There's one a race minimum.
It's the most startling thing was seeing a driver getting an involuntary SG30 for getting speed pushed into the pits. I'm not gonna say who it was. Those who remember will know. But
yeah,
punting somebody into the pits, leading to the punter driver collecting the penalty, and this way you self-braking just enough to make it through was the absolute dick move. But yeah,
it was so bad. Yeah, we've had that. And I think by that point, we'll start to see some shape taking place in the championship. That will pretty much mark the halfway point as well. So I think when we do the next Pitcast, and after that, we will see a very formulated championship order.
it will get more spicy.
You asked me for my best tip for Mount Panorama, and I'm going to ask you for your best tip for Suzuka.
That's a hard one, because where do you start? It's such a unique track. I would say watch out for your tires. It is a track that doesn't provide as much grip anyways, so it is very easy to overdrive your tires, but most of the incidents that happen do happen like a way into the first stint. Why? People spin out because of the difference in grip that the tires produce. And this is something where, like managing your TC to control your tire wear on the rear tires can make a difference. setting up the car a little bit more forgiving on the tires can make a difference. It might, like cost you a tenth or something, but might make a difference in your survivability throughout the race.
Fair. No, it is famously quite low grip. We kind of help that a little bit with the fixed time refueling, which means you can take the tyres and not really feel too much of a hit. So most people will do that, but you'll see tyre drop off after like 15 minutes if you're pushing, which is going to hurt your pace. My top tip's quite, I guess, a weird one, but it's more to the case of overtaking is actually quite difficult at Suzuka. It's hard to do it safely. So when you're driving in traffic, pick your moments wisely as to when you're going to make a move, because it's hard to make them stick.
True. You need a certain amount of confidence in yourself, your car, and most importantly, the other driver.
Yeah. Don't park it on the racing line would be tip 2 as well. Teddy.
Okay, the question has to be brought up again. Most important turn to nail. One comes to mind easily, I would say.
Yeah, well, T1, T2 complex. I would probably say.
Yeah, there's a lot of time. There's a lot of time buried in there, and it makes. I think a good exit there makes a nice and smooth transition into the S's. That's a good one.
But I wouldn't go for that. I wouldn't say that. I would say Spoon.
Yeah. Dead on. Spoon, once again, like it feels like we're just back in era basic horse racing line, taking, like the ideal line through a corner to optimize your exit over entry and making it into a long straight. And exactly that is what we have now recommended twice. But it has a point. It has system. There is a system behind it, just simply because Spoon is with double apex really hard to get right. Like there is a lot of time buried in there for any driver. And just slightly misshifting, a little too late braking, trying to carry too much speed in there, through there. That's another thing. Like, you need to bleed off more speed than you usually try to carry through, because you need to prioritize the exit. You can't get the corner right if you don't have a slight understanding of weight balance and what affects your car, or what throttle input and brake does to your car, to set it up properly for the exit. So it's really hard. If you need help with it, like there's a neat little trick there. Go to the Academy chat, just ping the @driver coach and get some free tips. Or if you're not confident in asking people like Chris or me, just ask anyone. Like, post your problem there, you'll get answers. This is what we're here for.
There's usually kicking about in the practice servers as well. Honestly, just drop in there, type a message, and someone will help.
The second turn, I would suggest. I do understand the first take with corner one might be one, and surely, but is what is it, 150R, 170R? I don't know. But after the back straight, you have the left-hand king.
Yeah. 130R. Yeah.
130R. Okay, yeah. So 130R being certainly one of those where you gain a bunch of tens by getting the pass-through right. It needs bravery and car control to keep it in line, and a good feel for how the fuel affects your car to make it through. Plus, it's one of those corners on this track where you collect your track limits quite easy. It's one of the parts where people have been bowled a bunch of times with overtakes. It's one of the points where so many crashes have happened just because people either pushed the grip limit, smashed into the walls, were too slow with the oncoming car from the rear. You name it. It's a hot spot and something that you need to pass through cleanly and quickly.
Yeah. So our guests that are also in the room. So you've got 2 very technical tracks coming up. What are your sort of thoughts going into the next 2 weeks of racing at ARA?
think for me it's, dare I say, give up on Mount Panorama and hope there's chaos and capitalize where you can, and throw all that practice time into Suzuka is my plan.
Yeah, that Honda is gonna cook at Suzuka. It's at night as well. Suzuka, am I right?
Yeah, it's night race.
Yeah. No, that Honda's gonna cook. What about you, Dennis? I know you're not looking forward specifically to Mount Panorama. Do you hold higher hopes for Suzuka? What are you thinking? 2 weeks to go until the next pitcast. So, what are you going to aim to achieve in them 2 weeks? If he's there, he's unmuted himself, so I assumed he was coming out. No.
Well,
Fair enough. Okay,
keep your secrets then.
Keep your secrets.
All
Cool.
right then.
Yeah. So another couple of weeks. Basically, you're not talking, can't you, Dan? You are quiet as a mouse, mate. No, he's gone. He might come back. He's having technical issues. Sorry, Christian. I'll let you.
No worries. Well, yeah, I think this slowly brings us to the end of this podcast. We have obviously once again used more time, but not exceeded as much as the first time. We're getting better at this, I would say. You concluded rightly. We've got 2 very technical tracks ahead. If you need any help with it, always, as I said, feel free to reach out. This is what we're here for. This is what we like doing. We want you to get better. And if you need any help, just reach out. And,
Am I back now?
Oh yeah.
He's here.
I'm there. I don't know what happened there.
Go on then. So the question was framed along the lines of we've got 2 technical tracks coming up, Mount Panorama, Suzuka. What are your thoughts heading into the next couple of weeks of racing?
Well, you said to have a better mindset, so I'm going to be confident with Mount Panorama with your help, hopefully.
I'll try.
And
Depends on what time we get tomorrow.
And for Suzuka, I hope that my German pit crew will actually do their job better than the Italians did.
Yeah, well, just got to be careful on your pit entry, mate. That's all I can say for Suzuka.
Yeah,
I've seen so many races ended at that pit. Well, in fact, one of the award submissions I was going to look at tonight, but we'll do that in a separate video, was someone sending it sideways into that very bollard. But yeah, I think you're in the fight. You know, we've got 2 technical tracks coming up. We've got time to prepare. Let's prepare for it and get you in that fight against Haya.
Get me fucking in there.
Get in there, Lewis.
Get in there.
Thank
All right.
you for your insight.
Yeah, I want to say cheers for your time, both to you, Dennis, and you, Samuel, for getting on here, letting us, have your part of the story. Much appreciated. And obviously also thanks to everyone actually taking out some time of the day to listen to the bullshit we just, produce on here. To get a bit, or catch up a little bit, perhaps not only on your own server, but also on the other stuff that's going on, getting a bit closer with the community and what's going on with racing. It was a delight being here this evening, talking about all things around racing. And we hope to see you again in 2 weeks, once again on a Wednesday, probably around the same time, like 8ish British time, GMT that is. And you can watch this back probably either on YouTube, and if at some point we finally make up our minds, this might also go live in audio-only version on your preferred app, be it Spotify or anything, so you can listen to this while being at work, on your commute to work or whatnot, while being in the kitchen preparing something to eat.
Making sweet love.
Oh, please.
Why wouldn't you listen to this? Why are you doing the deed? I mean, it's an hour and a half. It's an hour and a half, so you can fit at least 90 goes in.
All right.
And thank you for joining us.
Yes, before we completely
Thank you.
drop out, I want to invite everyone that hasn't done so, join or sign up to the championship. You can still, like mid-season join. That's absolutely no problem. The license system makes up for it. And if you still want to, dip your toes into endurance racing, once again on the 15th of February, we're going racing again with the 4 hours of Watkins Glen, and we would be more than happy to see you there. We will once again provide live comms and live stewarding, so it's a good place to be. It's a nice race to be. Make it a team effort or just your first really long-term driving experience as a solo driver. Right, and to our guests, anything else you'd like to add? As a little goodbye.
Oh, you put me on the spot. I ain't got nothing.
I got that.
Then,
I got nothing.
all right, Chris, once again, also cheers for taking out your time. And I'm really looking forward to the next one with you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've ended up sharing the same piece of track together, 2 races in a row now, pretty much. So, and you were holding me up like hell at Zolder until I got taken out. It was really hard to get past you, and then I think you were behind me at Nürburgring, but you weren't far back. But yeah, we'll see what happens at Mount Doom, mate. I'm really looking forward to it. Actually, be a good race. So.
All right. So, have a great evening, day, or whatever is applicable. Goodbye to our chat, goodbye to the listeners, and have a nice day. And until the next time, here at Hero A Pitcast. See you.
In 2 weeks.